Hi, my name is Pete. This is part 2 of a series of interviews I did asking people 3 questions about human-made climate change. Part 1 ended with key ideas about education, individual action and leadership from corporations and governments. Its final conclusion was that after listening to people, I felt as though human-made climate change would certainly affect my home. Please keep watching for part 2 of these interviews.
I worry about human-made climate change frequently. I have anxious thoughts about it. It's horrible what humans have done to this planet. When you see things like the polar bears, really skinny polar bears and things like that, it affects me quite a lot. It's long term, it's what we've done to the planet and how we go back on that. It's about use of plastics, it's about use of gases and everything that humans have used that animals probably wouldn't have done and that are against nature, that are causing the planet to suffer. It's a worry.
Because according to the predictions, Europe would freeze over. So we would have another ice age in Europe. If that would happen, I think people would start caring more in Europe. But as you go down further away from where the catastrophes take place, if it's not in my backyard, I don't care. It has to get close enough, sadly, to put it this way, it has to affect where the people with money are for things to change. If New York were to get flooded tomorrow, everybody would care about it. If you said London was going to get flooded due to climate change, because the Thames River would rise and engulf the entire city of London, people would care.
I think people aren't going to be passionate about it until they see the effects of it. You know, for instance, last year when we had the beast from the east and everybody was like, this is crazy weather, how is this happening? And people who are environmentalists like myself have thought, well, it's obvious that this is happening because we're slowly destroying the planet. So I think it will take human beings being actually affected by it before they'll make a change.
I experienced this one. I'm from Sri Lanka. We experience it. We know the temperature. We are being a tropical country, and our temperatures don't change. We've seen it increasing since my childhood to now. So, yeah, things are getting warmer, and things are getting bad. So, as long as people see the world changing, and I think people will react strongly against it.
The government's not doing enough, but of course it has other things to think about. But the political cycle is too short, really, for any government or administration to really put some policies in place that will make a difference. That's the problem.
You can look at it in the United States. There was a hurricane that affected New York, and the damages in New York and New Jersey were fixed in about a year. Same thing happened in New Orleans. It's been over 10 years and there's still people who have no homes. So that's insane. And it's because those are poor people of color versus white rich people.
So if you look at China, where there isn't a short political cycle, they're actually taking a lot more very aggressive steps to deal with climate change and pollution than perhaps some of the Western democracies are. I far prefer the democratic system, but I think there's a real onus now on governments to take the long view.
But if it's poor people in the Philippines or Thailand or Asia or Africa or parts that are not so rich of California or Spain or this and that, nobody cares. People care as long as it's on the news, and as soon as it's no longer on the news, nobody cares.
Appalled, because I don't think people are taking it seriously enough, and I think it's a catastrophe that is happening already and will get worse. Because as a member of Yorkshire Wildlife Trust, we've just been informed that since 1970 we've lost 50% of our wildlife, and that's catastrophic, and the human race can't survive without other species, and I think people perhaps don't quite realise how serious it is.
So climate change will not be something that the entire world cares about until it's tangible. And by the time it's tangible, it'll sadly be too late.
Well, it's just the way things are going, isn't it? If you see what's happening on the news and how China's developing and other countries like in India and places like that, you can see the pollution and what's happening. Well, it's happening, and it doesn't matter what I do or what the people around me do. It's not going to make a huge impact. It'll make a slight impact, but nothing. It's negligible, isn't it?
We've somehow got to engage individual people, I think, just as well as all the big information things, where people have got to go, is it important to you? Yes. Can I help you in any way to help the planet? And I think it's as simple as that. Because people have just got so much to worry about that it gets shoved to one side because they see it as something they can't do anything about and it's too far away, whereas neither of those are correct.
I did these interviews because I realised I didn't care emotionally about human-made climate change. Even though I believe it is the greatest existential threat we face, and I wanted to confront why I felt like this. Overall, I've spoken to people who are deeply concerned about the climate crisis, and those who are more apathetic to the apparent challenges. I have spoken to people who believe nothing will change, that until we are personally affected, or at least until rich white people are affected, we are destined to do nothing. There are also those who are more hopeful and believe as long as we see the problems, we will react. While I've not confirmed the scientific claims in the interviews, and I do not know for sure if and how much wildlife we are losing, I do know it is important I start to be engaged now, and I start to educate myself about the science of human-made climate change, its likely effects, and the actions I, as an individual, can take to help combat it. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, then please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.